We are back with another tier list, and today we're ranking all 30 starting small forwards in the NBA. Now, I know that small forward and power forward are kind of like the same position in this positionless basketball that we're in. So if you have a guy as a power forward and I have him on you as a small forward, it's really not a huge deal. I just needed to create some kind of barrier for this video. And one more thing before we get into it, if y'all can subscribe if you haven't already, be muchly appreciated. On the way to 1,000, so let's get into it now. Oh, and then just one more thing before the video starts. This is the projected 2023 season, so this is where I think they're going to project in terms of rankings with the other small forwards in the league. So this is what I think they're going to be at next season. So the first player on this list is Jayson Tatum. He's a hometown favorite for me, so got to go on the S tier. I mean, he's going to be an MVP conversation next season. He just made his first trip to the NBA Finals. He did struggle, but he's still young and he's still got a lot of potential. No, I do not think he's plateaued. I think he has another level to go in his game, and I'm super excited to watch him play next year. I mean, he has the entire offensive package. He's working on his playmaking. His defense went up in a crazy amount this year. There's no other place to put Jayson Tatum but the S tier. Now we have Deandre Hunter. I think he's going to have a pretty big year this year now that the Hawks have kind of traded away some of the wings that they had originally. So I think they'll open up the floor and a lot more playing time for Deandre Hunter. Except his only thing is that he needs to stay healthy. That's been his biggest issue throughout his entire career. I mean, you can't really work on the game if I was injured. But given he's going to have a fully healthy season, I think he'd be a B-tier player. I think he's going to be kind of the third option on offense for the Hawks team moving forward, but up behind Trae Young and Dejounte Murray. I think he's going to be a pretty good 3-and-D wing next season for the Hawks. Kevin Durant, really no argument there. Again, it's one of those players you don't really know if he's starting at the 4, starting at the 3. My take on that is he's going to be starting at the 3. Because I don't think the Ben Simmons at center experiment is going to last very long. So I think Simmons is going to end up starting at the 4, which means Durant is going to be starting at the 3. We know who Kevin Durant is, the greatest scorer the game has ever seen. He's not going to really lose a step next season, even though there's mad turmoil in Brooklyn. But you can't put him anywhere else besides S tier, even given the offseason that he's had. Gordan Hayward, I mean, we're just going to keep it honest. He's not going to stay healthy. The dude hasn't stayed healthy since his first season in Boston. But he is a good player when he's playing. So this one's pretty hard for me to put him on the C tier. So I'm going to put him on the B tier for now. I think when he's playing, he's definitely a B tier player. He can give you 18 points a game, 18 points a night. Especially with LaMelo being a great playmaker that he is. He's going to get Hayward some open looks. He's going to be a fun team to watch this year in Charlotte. DeMar DeRozen, A tier. I think that's perfect for him. I know he was in the MVP conversations last year, and you can make the argument that he would be in the S tier. But I don't think he's going to have as good as a season as last year. I don't think he can top that. He is going to get a year older, and I think he just had crazy momentum last year. All in all, I still think he could be an all-star caliber player and potentially make the all-star team. But I don't see him topping what he had last year, so I think A tier for DeMar DeRozan is pretty good. Issac Okoro hasn't really done much in his career. He's been a good defender for the Cavs, but he never really developed any offense quite yet. He's not a ball handler. He's kind of just a slasher. He's a very inconsistent three-point shooter. If Issac Okoro can shoot 38% this year for the Cavs, that's going to improve their roster tremendously because then they have a good wing defender who can also shoot the ball. But he can't. He can't shoot the ball yet, and I don't really project him having a huge season shooting the ball. So I think C is where he needs to go, but he still has a lot of potential to grow. Like I said, if he can hit that 3 ball this season, he is definitely moving up to the B tier. Micheal Porter Jr., I know he can be an A tier talent at times, but given his injury history, and I just don't know what he's going to look like after another back surgery, I'm going to have to put him at the B tier. I think that's pretty good for him. I think it's pretty reasonable. If he has a healthy season and bounces back from this injury just fine, definitely an A-tier player. No real conversation about that. Finney-Smith. Finney-Smith is definitely a B-tier player for sure. I think that's perfect for him, actually. I don't think he's going to go lower. I don't think he's going to go higher. He's really mastered the 3-and-D role pretty early on in his career. He's always been a stellar defense, and now he's a great catch-and-shoot player alongside Luka Doncic. And when you play with Luka Doncic, you're going to get open three-point looks, and Finney-Smith is pretty good at knocking them down. And if he can develop a little ball handling, a little slashing, a little bit more of his offensive game, he's going to be a real problem in the NBA for years to come. but I think B is perfect for Finney-Smith. Seddiq Bay, pretty similar to Finney-Smith, but a little less defense and more three-point shooting. I mean, the dude is one of the better three-point shooters in the NBA. We saw him put up 51 versus the Magic towards the tail end of the season last year. He's going to get open looks playing with Cade Cunningham. He's going to be pretty much the number 2 guy on offense over there. Maybe you can argue that Jaden Ivey would take that spot over from him, but I think he's going to be Cade's number 1 option off a pass next season. So I think B is perfect for Seddiq Bay. Andrew Wiggins. Now, I usually do like one take with these videos. I don't really think about it too much before I start them because I think that creates more authenticity to the video. Andrew Wiggins, I really thought about this one for a long time. I really didn't know what to do with him, but ultimately, I got to put him at the A tier, especially looking at my list right now, because I think a lot of teams would take Wiggins right now to win basketball games over any of these guys here. And I really was upset when Wiggins was a starter for the All-Star game. I was more in the argument of he didn't deserve it because there's players better than him, but not at his position. I think this is the same concept here. Like, is he an A-tier talent in the league? But also his impact on the Warriors team this year, win the finals. Like, if you're the second best player on the best team in the NBA, A-tier is pretty much where you need to be, and I think that's where he should be. He's been a really good, consistent offensive player for them. He's going to be a great defender like always. He's a great rebounder, and he's a great teammate to have. Just a great, awesome player who knows his role on your team. I think A-tier for Wiggins is good. He might be like an A-, B+, but I'm taking him over any of these guys here. So that's what Wiggins is going to lay for me. Benedict Matthews, I did this with all the rookies. I just put him in the C tier. I don't want to sell him short with the D tier, and I don't want to praise him too high based off a few Summer League games. So I'm going to start him with the C tier. He has potential to move up. He has potential to slide down. Really not much to talk about here. He's going to get a lot of run for the Indiana team because they're really not trying to win games, especially if they trade Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. And I think Benedict Matthews is going to be their starting small forward looking at their roster. So I think he's going to be at the C because we haven't seen anything from him. I think C is fine for the rookies. Eric Gordon, I don't really know what his minutes are going to be next season. I don't know. I think he's going to be starting for them, but I really didn't know about the Rockets because they have a lot of young guards and some young big guys. The wing position's kind of weak for them, so I'm just going to put him at C, mainly because I think he's going to get traded this season. So, like, if he gets traded to a team that's ready to win now and, he's going to be their 8th, 9th man off the bench, then he's not going to have that great of a season just because his opportunity is going to be lessened. So I'm putting him at C, kind of projecting him to get traded either before the season or at the trade deadline. All in all, great he's a pretty good defender, great floor spacer, and an awesome role player to have on your team for the locker room. Kawhi Leonard, I know he's coming off an ACL tear. I don't care. He's definitely S tier. He can be the best player in the NBA if he plays 72 games. Great. We know Kawhi Leonard is. We don't really need to talk about much. If he can stay healthy, the Clippers are probably my favorite to win it all. Besides the Boston Celtics, of course, they're always going to be my favorite. But the Clippers are on a damn good team, and if Kawhi can stay healthy, the sky's the limit for him and that Clippers team. LeBron, S tier. I mean, we know who LeBron James is. His team might be not great this season, but he's probably going to put up 28 points per game like he did last season. Might pass Kareem this year in scoring for number 1 all time. We know who LeBron is. We know he's going to come in the season ready to play, and ready to give people 50. So, S tier for LeBron, obviously. Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks is definitely B for me. He's a shot chucker at times, an inconsistent shot maker at times. He thinks he's Jordan out there sometimes, but he's really Dillon Brooks, and he takes some ill-advised shots. I'm kind of being hard on him right now, but he's also a great defender, and when he's going on offensively, he can make a lot of tough shots and be that nice spark for the Grizzlies. So B tier is pretty good for him. Jimmy Butler, S tier. He's an S tier player in the regular season. He's more like an A tier player because he doesn't go as hard. He takes some games off. He's just preparing himself for the playoffs. I'm not really going to knock him for that because we know Butler could be an MVP caliber player if he chose to be in the regular season, but that's not his agenda. His agenda is to be ready and fit for the playoffs. But all in all, with that said, he's definitely an S-tier player. No argument about it. Kris Middleton, he's going to be an A-tier player. Even though they lost to the Celtics, if they had Kris Middleton, probably would have been NBA champions or at least played the Warriors in the finals. Kris Middleton is a damn good player, can give you 20 every given night, great shooter, good defender, and he's really the closer for that Bucks team. He's one of the more clutch players in the NBA too. A-tier is definitely where he needs to be, and he's the second best player on a championship level team, same as Andrew Wiggins. So he's definitely A-tier for sure. Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson. I'm going to put him at the C tier. I think that's pretty good for him. I think he's around the same level impact of these guys here. He's on the Timberwolves now. I think he's going to be starting at the small forward. I don't really know who they have for wings now who would start over Kyle Anderson. So I think C is good for him. Slow-mo. He's going to give you 10, couple rebounds, couple assists, give you good defensive minutes. Going to be a great starter for that new-look Minnesota team. So I think C is perfect for him. Brandon Ingram. Can't put him on the S tier. I can't put him on the S tier. I do think he's the best player in the A tier right now, but I don't know. People might not like me for doing that. But he's just not quite yet. Like, he had a great playoff. Like, if he had a great playoff series versus the Suns, like, he's an S tier player based off the 6 games. But I can't just entirely give him a grade based off one playoff series. I got to give him a grade for the entirety of last season, the playoffs, and then what I project he's going to be this upcoming season. And since they're getting Zion back, that's going to be some shot attempts away from Ingram, some ball handling duties away from Ingram, plus CJ is going to be handling the ball a lot. So I think he's going to be an A-tier player for them next year, which is fine because the Pelicans have a chance to be kind of underdog contenders, in my opinion. I mean, they have a lot of pieces that can ball, a team that works well together. Brandon Ingram is a huge part of that, so I think A tier is perfect for Brandon Ingram. RJ Barrett, I'm putting RJ in the B. I'm really hoping RJ can take that step next year to be the A, but I just don't have that much confidence in him, especially if they trade for Donovan Mitchell. He's definitely not taking that step because Mitchell takes a lot of shots away from him. I just haven't seen enough from Barrett yet to say he's going to be an A-tier type player. I hope I'm wrong about that because I had a terrible take that I thought RJ was going to be better than Zion during the draft night. And, we don't need to go into that anymore. But, yeah, RJ Barrett, B tier. I think that's probably my more questionable decision. I might move back to that towards the end of the video. We'll have to see. Lou Dort. I think if I put Lou Dort at B, I got to put RJ Barrett up at A. So I'm not going to do that. Lou Dort, C. He's a great 3-and-D player for that Thunder's team, can shoot the 3-ball consistently, plays stellar defense, is a dog for them. And if Chet Holmgren didn't get injured, I think he'd be a big part in a play-in, playoff push for the Thunder. But now that Chet's gone, I don't think it's going to happen. But I think C for Lou Dort is pretty fair. I'd probably take Lou Dort over everyone else on the C list, so he's more like a C+, B- type of deal. But Lou Dort, great player to have on your team. Franz Wagner, B tier. Again, I haven't seen enough to think he's going to jump up to the A tier. I hope he hasn't hit a ceiling because he's my actually most excited sophomore to watch this year because if he really blossoms into a great player and so does Paolo, Orlando's got a good team the first time in a long time. So I think I'm going to pump the brakes on Franz just a little bit. I think B tier is fine for him. Potential to make the A tier jump, but not quite sure, so I'm not going to assume that yet. He's gonna improve off last season. He has a better team now. The Magic could potentially make a play-in playoff push, and he would be a big part of that. So I think B tier is fine for now. Tobias Harris, B tier. Now ESPN said they're gonna run PJ at the 3 and Tobias at the 4, but I think those are gonna be flipped. So I have Tobias as a small forward this year for them, because I think PJ fits at the power forward spot better because he can guard bigger 4s better. And also, you just need him to sit in the corner and hit 3s on offense. And that's what he's been doing since his Houston days, is playing the small ball 4 or the 5 and sitting in the corners on offense and being a dog on defense. But, okay, back to Tobias Harris. Hasn't really lived up to the contract he was given. Kind of been a letdown for the Sixers, but still a great player to have on your team. I think B is definitely good rating for Tobias Harris next season. Plus, playing with James Harden, who's a terrific playmaker, is going to get Harris open looks. If you're an NBA player, you're going to be able to hit open looks unless you're Matisse Thybulle or Ben Simmons. Mikal Bridges, I got to put him on the B tier as well. He's probably, arguably, I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna say like the best 3-and-D player in the league, like role player type. You know, like Kawhi Leonard is obviously like a playmaking everything D player. I don't know why I just said that. That made no sense at all. But Mikal Bridges really masters the 3-and-D role. He can give you some offensive game at spurts. You know, he'll pump fake for a 3, pull up for the mid range, finish at the basket. You know, cut back door for a basket, catch and shoot threes. Phenomenal scorer, great defender with the long arms, great rebounder. So I think B is perfect for Mikal Bridges. A Nassir Little, haven't really seen much from him. Not really anything to be too excited about. So D tier for him. That's really about it. Keegan Murray was a stud in the Summer League, but Summer League doesn't really mean much. So again, with the same thing, Benedict Matthews, he's just a rookie. You don't really know yet. So C tier for Keegan Murray. Doug McDermott, again, he's going to be the starting small forward in the worst team in the league. Doesn't really give you much besides a little bit of floor spacing. If he's not hitting his three-point shot at a high volume, he really gives you nothing. So D tier for Doug McDermott. Scottie Barnes is going to make that jump next year. He's going to be A tier alongside these guys. Might be selling him kind of high, but I think Scottie Barnes is that guy, and I think he's going to take over as the best player on the Raptors next season. Hence why they don't want to trade him for this guy up here. So Scottie Barnes, A tier for me. Bojan Bogdanovic, I hope the Jazz trade him because he can be a really good player on almost any team in the league. I would say 3-and-D. His D is kind of lackluster.
Hey, yo, there is no way
He's a great offensive scorer, 3-level scorer, 3-pointer, mid-range, can finish at the basket like a little bit, off-like cuts and like a couple dribbles. He's not going to cross you up and go to the rim or anything, but he's going to be a great offensive player and a great asset for your team for the season. And the final player, Deni Avdija, I think it is. Don't really know much about him. Didn't really watch many Wizards games, so if he's a stud, let me know. But I think he's just a D or a C tier type player. I know he gives good defense, good playmaking. I know his offense is not there, but he's also mad young, so I think he can make that jump. But I haven't seen enough to put him on the jump to where he could be a starter caliber player like all of these guys. I think he will start for the Wizards because their wing depth is not very good. But I'm not taking him over any of these guys going the next season. And with that said, I think I'm going to put RJ Barrett up in the A tier because I like him better than every other guy on this list. Michael Porter Jr. exception because he had back surgery, so I really don't know how he's going to be next season. But I do remember now RJ had a crazy ending of the season. I think after the All-Star break, he averaged like 23 points a game for the Knicks, shooting good efficiency. So if he can do that next season, that's definitely A-tier quality, especially when I have Scottie Barnes up here. So now I think my list is complete. I really do like my list. If you guys have an opinion, please comment down below. It helps the algorithm out, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.